So at the beginning of the film, we see a movie. A group that makes films is looking for a nice place in the jungle to shoot. And just like that, it gets dark. There were a total of 3 people, meaning 2 people with their camera, but they had lost their way and were just wandering around in circles in the jungle, repeatedly coming back to the same spot. This meant that all 3 were lost. So, they start looking for a good place to set up their tent. But during this search, they see a man standing in front of them, and then that man turns his face to show them. They were shocked to see that he was wearing a strange mask. They got really scared and started running away quickly. Obviously, if someone with such a mask is standing in the middle of the jungle, anyone would be terrified. Anyway, the masked man wasn't alone. He had 2 more companions, one of whom was a girl. Now, in the movie, the man takes out his mobile from his bag to check for a signal so he can call for help somehow. But then a masked man comes and ends him with a chain. And now, only 2 people were left in the crew team, 1 lady and 1 cameraman. But they too couldn't survive for long, because a masked killer comes and kills the lady and the other cameraman. They also meet a very gruesome death. And all of this gets recorded in the cameraman's camera. Anyway, the scene shifts here and we see another movie crew. This team also has only 3 members. The girl in this team was named Hope, and she had a partner and a cameraman with her. The producer had told them to find a nice cabin for their short film, but for now, they weren't finding any good cabin anywhere. But Hawk said that maybe they would find a good cabin inside the jungle, and then they all get in the car and head towards the jungle. On the way, we stop at a gas station to fill up the car with petrol. The camera was already inside the car, recording everything, and he explains that the producer told him to record everything. That's why I'm doing this. The producer said the camera should never be turned off. After that, they all head into the forest where they find a cabin right in the middle. Now, Hope's companion, whose name was Ben, got quite scared. He said we should leave, but Hope doesn't listen to him and starts going inside the cabin. Just then, she hears a boy screaming from inside, so they all go in to check. They see that the TV is on and the screaming is coming from the TV. They start checking the entire cabin. That's when the cabin owner finds them and starts getting angry at them. But they explain everything to him, that they heard screaming from the cabin, which is why they came inside. Now, Hope tells the cabin owner that they want to rent his cabin for 2 days, and the cabin owner, seeing the whole situation, asks for $2,000 for 2 days, which was quite a lot. He was actually taking advantage of their situation. Now, since they had to make the movie, Hope offers him $750 for 1 day. At first, the owner refuses the offer but later agrees, because for him, it was still a good amount. Now, Hope gives him the money, and as the owner is about to leave, he stops, thinking about something, and advises them not to go too deep into the forest, because there's a group of people living inside the forest who might not like them being there. He explains that many people from that group used to live here, but then the government came and drove them away. Some of them left, but some stayed hidden inside the forest. After telling them everything, the owner leaves. Hope and Ben are quite happy. They had a hard time getting this cabin, which was perfect for their short movie. Now Hope shares this news with the producer. The producer says he will soon come to see the cabin. In the joy of getting the cabin, Hope, Ben, and the cameraman drink a lot, after which they head into the forest to find a good location. They notice that the entire forest is quite perfect for their movie. While Hope is checking around, she sees someone passing through the bushes, but doesn't pay much attention to it. Now, the 3 of them go inside the cabin and start checking the locations shot in the forest, and they see the same masked man in the video who was shown at the beginning. Seeing this, Hope becomes quite anxious. She tells Ben to close all the windows and doors of the cabin. Shortly after the producer arrives, they tell the producer everything and show him the footage, but he says it must be just a kid playing a prank. The producer tells them to stay there, but Hope doesn't want to stay anymore. To this, the producer says it's fine, they'll spend the night somewhere else, but they need to wait a bit because one of his colleagues is coming to check the cabin. Hope tells Ben, who was sitting by the window, to pack the stuff. As Hope looks out the window, she sees the masked man. Again, the good thing is that everything was recorded on camera. Hope immediately tells the producer everything. He was about to check the camera when someone knocks on the door. When the producer goes outside to look, there's no one there. The producer thinks it's just some kid's prank, so he comes back inside. He explains to Ben that they're overthinking. He tells them not to worry and suggests they should start shooting their short film. As he's saying this, there's another knock on the door. When the producer went outside to check, he saw the same three killers wearing masks. The producer approached them and started threatening them to leave, but they didn't even budge. Then suddenly, one of them hit the producer on the head with a hammer, causing him to bleed profusely. He died a painful death. The cameraman quickly grabbed the camera and went inside the cabin. Seeing what happened to the producer, all three were in shock. They realized why there were no signals, because those masked killers had a device to block the signals. The trouble was increasing. The situation was getting worse because the lights went out and the masked killers were standing outside waiting for Hope and the cameraman. Hope said that they needed weapons for their defense, so they went to the kitchen and took 11 knives with them. They also found a flashlight there, which they took as well. Anyway, the three of them went to another room and one masked man was standing outside. Just then, the lights came back on and Hope found a box below which contained many CDs. One of them had a girl's name written on it. So Hope put it in the DVD player and played it. It contained photos of a girl, and those masked people were forcibly taking her outside and tying her hands and feet. Then they ran a lawnmower over her face, horribly disfiguring it. The girl died a painful death. The horrifying thing was that the room where the girl was sleeping was actually a room in this cabin. This meant that those masked people had been doing this for a long time, and whoever came to this cabin and forest, those masked people would kill them all. They also made videos of them. Now, these people carefully asked the masked ones what exactly they wanted. They say they only want a girl, meaning someone who is knowledgeable and gets easily nervous. Then she tries to explain to the masked woman that she hasn't done anything, she's just a filmmaker, so they should let her go. But obviously, the masked killers weren't going to listen to her, and neither was Ben. Hope explains to her that these people won't understand anything. Just then, the producer's partner arrives in a car and suggests that the three of them can reach the car. They were just discussing how they would reach the car when suddenly the masked killers send a video to Hope's phone. When they play the video, they see that the killers have captured the producer's partner and are brutally beating her, causing her pain. The cruelty reaches its peak when they start pulling out her nails. Even after this, when their hearts don't, they would have killed him. Seeing this, everyone was very scared. Not only that, but they also brought the producer's partner's body near the window and punctured the tires of the producer's partner's car. This meant that their plan to reach the car was completely foiled. Now, he tries to move away from the killer outside to find a signal so he can call the police. But as soon as he goes out, he quickly comes back inside because those three attacked Ben badly, which left him in bad shape. Coming inside, Ben notices that there are only two killers outside, wondering where the third one went. Thinking this, they start checking the cabin to see if he has come inside. Ben kept a weapon close for his protection. Now, when they both enter the room, everything is scattered around. When he came near the bed to check the situation, the third killer, who was hiding under the bed, comes out and grabs Ben's legs. Then Ban stabs that killer in the face multiple times, causing him to die on the spot. The remaining two killers outside try to set the entire cabin on fire so that Hope, Ban, and the cameraman come out. They take 11 cameras with them to record everything. But then the lights go out, and the masked lady attacks them. Hope quickly runs outside the cabin and escapes into the forest, but the lights come back on inside the cabin and the masked lady attacks Ban. She grabs him from behind and without wasting any time, Ban stabs her in the neck with a knife, killing her too. Then the cameraman and Ban also run out of the cabin, but because it's dark outside, they get separated from each other. Meanwhile, Hope continues moving forward in the forest, but suddenly the last remaining masked man attacks her. Hope manages to escape and somehow reaches her car, but the killer takes another chance and Hope runs again. Meanwhile, the cameraman gets a signal and is about to call the police when another masked man appears. He attacks the cameraman from behind and kills him. This killer wasn't the same as the previous one, which means there were many more people like them doing such dangerous work. Running, she reaches the road. A car is coming, and inside is none other than the cabin's owner. Hope gets in the car, tells the owner everything and asks for help, but instead of helping, the owner starts driving back to the cabin. That's when we get the shocking revelation that the owner was also one of them. Realizing this, Hope stabs the cabin owner in the stomach and escapes. Then we see Ban, who is still running away from these masked people. But then he reaches an old cabin where he finds the cameraman's corpse. As soon as he goes inside, the killer suddenly appears in front of him. He attacks Bane with a chainsaw and kills him. Meanwhile, she records a message. She said, "This could be my last message. I want to say that if anyone finds this video, they should use the police to find and eliminate these masked people." She starts looking for a way out. Meanwhile, a masked man was recording Hope, and Hope realizes this, so she sets a trap for him. She lays a snare to catch him, and as he gets caught in the trap, Hope quickly smashes the last killer's head with a stone. She keeps hitting him until he's finally dead. Hope was about to escape from there, but just then, the man with the chainsaw arrives and slashes Hope's stomach with it, but still she keeps running away, and the killer was chasing her. He finds her, but this time Hope stabs her knife into his chest, tearing him apart and finally killing him too. After this, we see a video in which Hope gives a statement because she survived. It's her podcast where she explains how her friends were killed by those masked people. "I was almost finished too, but I faced them and with great difficulty managed to escape from there." She also mentions that now I'm going to make a big movie related to these things. After the podcast, she goes home and falls asleep. Meanwhile, someone sneaks into her house and starts recording a video. It turns out that it was none other than one of those masked people who finally ends Hope too, which meant that the poor girl who was happy thinking she escaped from the killer and was the sole survivor, they didn't spare her either. As we know, those masked people, they were killed by the color, and besides them, there were many others who had been chasing since then and took his life as soon as they got the chance. Whoever comes here, these masked people finish them off because, according to them, the forest is their home and they won't leave anyone who comes here under any circumstances because they didn't want anyone else to enter besides us. Actually, they believe that city people come to the forest and ruin their land, their lifestyle, and most importantly, their lives, which is something they cannot tolerate. According to them, they were protecting their home, the forest, but in a very dangerous way, because killing someone without reason is very wrong. That's why we would call them crazy, psycho killers. They make movies to prove that whoever tries to mess with them, this is what they do to them. And with this terrifying ending, the film ends right here.